Thank you, Dr. Choudhary, for being here. It's been a long
My
journey.
pleasure.
I've known you for about 10 years, and just for introducing you to others who are in the audience, some of you have, you're meeting them probably for the first time, and they're meeting you for the first time.
Okay.
So just to give a little bit of introduction of Dr. Choudhary, I've known him actually not for 10, but actually 8 years.
8 years.
Since 2010. And I was sent to him by one of his students who could not understand what came out in my session. I met Dr. Nitin Shukla in a program where we both were invited to write content for salespeople. And he told me while we were writing content that he knows about a technique called past life regression. And that really intrigued me because I was reading a book at that point on past life regression, and so I was intrigued enough, so we did that session, and he couldn't interpret for me what came out in the session, so he sent me to his teacher, and as soon as I walked in to his room, I started crying. And in those days I wasn't that emotional to cry, but I wondered why did I cry? But years later I understood why. And then he did a session for me, and that transformed my understanding of life. And over the years, I've done many sessions with him. I've been trained by him on this technique that he uses. He has a different name. I use a different name. I call it deep guided meditation. It's much more easier for me to explain with that term.
Yeah.
And so from that point to this, it's been a long journey, and thank you for being here. This whole creation has happened because I met you.
Lord's will, basically.
Yeah, thank you. So to start with, why don't you share your journey with us? How did you reach to this point today, and where you're sitting?
Right. For me, a skeptic, my journey started with my brother-in-law, Dr. Sunny Satin, desiring to start hypnotherapy training in India. He was an IIT Bombay graduate, MS USA, PhD USA, and he learned hypnosis in 2001, 2000 to 2002. So 2002 March, he says, Yogesh, there is no hypnotherapy in India, why don't we start teaching? So that was the beginning of the whole thing. So I didn't know what hypnotherapy is, I didn't know what even psychotherapy is that time. So I said, I'll help you, there's no problem. So once we started, he did his first course. There was a lot of lacuna in the method of communication, or the people at the end of the course did not have any handouts to practice it by themselves. So I told him that time that we'll have to reorganize the whole presentation, teaching, make it more structured like we used to do in ISO 9000 or TQM training. So I restructured it for the Indian audience completely. And thereafter the sessions or the training sessions for hypnotherapy became extremely good. Clinical hypnotherapy, level 1, 2, 3, they went off very well. Then he also taught crystal therapy, he taught spiritual hypnosis, past life therapy. He didn't introduce past life therapy that time. I introduced it later on. But sadly, we lost him in 2006 December when he was teaching spiritualism, one of the courses. Ever since then, I'm in this field. Done around 2002, 3 itself. There's a lot of exposure that came through the sessions of my clients. Things like they would say, so-and-so master is here. And first I used to be an observer, and Sunny used to deal with them. And he used to interact with them as if they were physically present in the room with the medium of the client. So that was a new awareness for me. But we built it up continuously. After even losing him in 2006 December, I continued with a lot of experiments, because I found mind fascinating by that. In 4 years, mind was a fascinating area. and so much could be channeled through it, through the mouthpiece of a body, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And he could speak, or the body could speak, connect, the mind could connect, whether he connected, something else connected to the brain, God knows. I still don't know, there's still a lot of research to be done. I keep telling my students, they've got to do a lot of research to find out how, where do these energies connect, what gives them the control to make you speak, how can they communicate their thoughts through you. And there's so much of guidance. Ever since that, now I call it holistic hypnosis,
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
just clinical hypnosis. It is holistic. There's so many things that we can do. That was my journey.
In my first session, when I came to you, there was a guidance that came to me. Now probably I understand what was happening, but at that point, it was very difficult for me to understand. The guidance came that I should go and meditate
Yeah.
up in the mountains.
Mm.
And I think over the years, even you got that guidance. So how is hypnotherapy similar or different from meditation?
My understanding, I'm only communicating my understanding. Hypnosis is done by somebody else to you to keep you in a state. Right? And it keeps the conscious mind away, and the therapist gets in touch with your subconscious.
Right.
Whatever be the model of the mind we use. Dr. Kapas's model, I found it very good, but the reality of what mind is still evades any explanation. It's only in one session that I was able to talk to the mind as an energy per se, but did not give more of information. But today, so when we talk or we put a person in a trance state, as we call it in hypnosis, we keep the person awake, but the conscious mind hands over the control to the subconscious, where the control is that aspect of the conscious mind which, when awake, is always looking for inputs to protect you.
Right.
So all my senses, 5 senses, actually give constantly inputs to make the person perceive a threat.
Right.
It's like a smell. We say a tube light
Right.
gives out that smell when the choke is hot.
Right.
Right. So if I'm talking to somebody, I will not continue to talk. My mind will immediately say, stop, look at the cause of this smell. The choke is hot, it can lead to fire. So I'll first get up and
Right.
switch off the light, investigate what happened,
Right.
and then come back to talking when I'm assured nothing, no danger is going to be there.
Right.
So when the control is with the conscious mind, it does not allow you to explore.
Okay.
And its control is continuous from the time I wake up to the time I sleep.
Right.
So when the therapist is working, actually he, by a method known as induction, allows the control to be transferred from the conscious mind to the subconscious. And the conscious mind becomes an observer. And because now the control is with the subconscious, the therapist can interact with the subconscious. So when it can interact with the subconscious, it can find out the cause of your current issue. And it's been an amazing journey, investigating various types of issues of people, right from illnesses, physical illnesses, to relationship issues, to anything that you can think of,
Right.
practically. The subconscious knows,
Right.
and it can lead you to that.
Right.
Whereas when we talk of meditation, my conscious mind is constantly in control. And yet, I get into a deeper trance at what point of time
Right.
it connects to the higher vibrational regions.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Because we don't know the measurements of those regions, which are vibrational levels in the maybe the astral universe or the causal universe,
Right.
which we see from the spiritual texts. And the person himself keeps going on deeper inside and has then the ability to clean the blockages.
Right.
Whereas a hypnotherapist does it as an external thing, in meditation, I can do it myself to me. That is sadhana.
Right.
So the sadhana practices are individualistic.
Right.
They involve all. The pranayams also they involve mantra japs also, they involve concentration also. And what I call it as kriya. Kriya is an internal work. So if we read from Gita, if we read from other texts, we find kriya is what you need to do when you are doing meditation.
Right.
So it's all a part of the kriya,
Right.
leading to meditation. So if you see Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali, it first gives you disciplines of yam niyam,
Right.
my daily life
Right.
practices, then it says asana, then pranayam, then pratyahar, and then you come to dharana, dhyan, samadhi. But it's all internal.
Right.
I sit in a place, I do everything with myself, I'm doing it to myself.
Right.
So that is the process of meditation.
Right.
By the time we come to dharana, dhyan, which is meditation, ultimately leading to samadhi, where I unify my soul with the Supreme Being, that is going to the state of nirvikalpa samadhi.
Right.
But that's a long process. But I do it to myself.
Right.
There are techniques, yes.
So it's like I'm self-inducing
I am
hypnosis.
doing,
I'm hypnotizing my own self.
I
That
am bringing myself inside,
Right.
withdrawing from the complete outside and going inside.
Right.
Wherein hypnosis, I can do that, but the individual will not be able to do the procedures which the therapist does with that individual.
Right.
Whereas in meditation, or the techniques leading to meditation
Right.
and the preparatory in Raj Yoga, for example, it is I am doing to myself.
Right.
So it can take a lot of time to even cleanse a issue like a past life karma, as we call it,
Right.
or a issue of my anger, or an issue of my greed, or an issue of my attachment to people in my family.
Right.
It can take me years.
Right.
Here we can do it very fast under
But it
hypnosis.
seems both the techniques are touching into the subconscious.
It has to.
So for laymen,
Hmm.
what's the difference between a conscious mind and a subconscious mind? Because these are two terms more brought from the Western psychology.
Yeah,
For an-
subconscious, as the term is understood, people who know, I didn't know psychology. I had to read about it, to read about mind. Whether you read Freud's description of mind or you read Dr. Capus's, there are other people also who have defined the mind
Right.
or a framework of mind or understanding of mind. I, having read Freud and having read Dr. Capus, I more lean towards Dr. Capus's definition of the mind. And subconscious is is always awake. It records everything that you have done during the day,
Right.
where the conscious mind transfers through the or what you call the critical mind,
Right.
and sorts out the database.
Right.
So updates the database files, but it's stored in the subconscious. So in his model, Dr. Capus's model, he says if I divide the subconscious, which is different from the conscious mind, it has got two parts. He defined the one part as the modern memory, where you store this life's memory. The other part is memory bringing from the past life maybe. And there are some, I call them programs of your autonomic functions and programs for your instinctual behavior, and two primary fears, which we call fear of falling and fear of loud noise, and a whole lot of past life memories. Whether they are theirs or not, I still don't know, because there is no way of investigating. But this is the model, it works.
Right.
Because we do get people, when we go to a cause of a issue, I've seen people going into past life.
Right.
And as simple as a mother telling that my daughter can't stay without me 7 years.
Right.
Except for going for school and coming back, she wants to just remain around me.
Right.
And in one session of say 50 minutes, after doing that session, she goes back and she is detached. How can it be possible? If you can do it through hypnotherapy, she cannot do it through meditation.
Right.
She just cannot do it through meditation. It'll take, if she is able to do it, it'll take, I think, years to access that information and amend it. We did it by past life.
So you reprogram the subconscious?
No, there was a happening in a past life with the same daughter.
Okay. So there was a memory.
So there was a,
getting
and for me now I feel the soul fragment, like a hologram fragment, carries all the information.
Right.
Every hologram chip
Right.
carries the total memory of the hologram.
Right.
Similarly, the life that she lived previously with that daughter, a soul part of that comes into this life to seek help in that life.
Right.
And when we give that help in that life, this life's healing takes place.
Okay.
So it was done both for the daughter and the mother.
Right. So the subconscious, it remembers.
We go through that process, whether we call it subconscious only or we call it working through the soul fragment. The concept of soul fragment is not known to the modern science in any case up till
Right.
now. But the living masters know what soul fragment is. They can distinguish it. They know it. They at times work with it. I know at the time I was talking to a very close disciple of Swami Ram, and I was mentioning the soul fragment, and she says, yes, he did talk to me about it once. Otherwise, I have not read in books written by the masters about mentioning about soul fragment at all. We only see in the New Age books some mention of soul fragments, but not generally.
Yeah.
But in this science, this hypnotherapy, holistic hypnotherapy, I think we can use that very, very effectively for healing, very effectively.
This technique of hypnotherapy versus meditation.
Ah.
It seems hypnotherapy has come from the West, while the meditation was already in the East. Or was hypnotherapy already available in the East, but we had a different term for it?
I don't know, I haven't seen it mentioned, but I have seen some mention by some masters who are saying avoid hypnosis.
Okay.
It is there in the Vyas Maharajji's books also. I think Chanan Maharajji has mentioned in his
Right.
book somewhere, don't try hypnosis. I saw the same thing in Paramahansa Yogananda also.
Is
But
that
I do feel that they didn't understand what hypnosis is.
They
Because
did or
hypnosis,
they
they've
did?
written,
They did understand.
they knew the term, but they didn't understand the phenomena behind it.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Right.
Because by the time the hypnotherapy or hypnosis got developed after 1787, being brought in by Mesmer, and then developed more by James Braid, and later on by other people, including Jung, worked a lot with trance states of patients. But I don't think they understood the total phenomena behind trance state, because the spiritual side which one can enter through a trance state was not known to the West. Because in West, if the trance state or meditative state is actually practiced in Christianity, it was only done in monasteries, not in normal churches.
Yeah, because the monasteries were not practicing
Ah,
meditation.
monasteries, they may have been practicing meditation.
Very few of them.
But the normal Christian priests running the churches were not practicing meditation.
Right.
That's my
Right.
understanding from reading or being exposed to the
Right.
Christian thought as such. So the element of knowledge of the possibilities in a state of hypnosis
Right.
was not fully known. Whatever little I have read, I found that even Freud did use hypnosis for some time, but became afraid of certain states that the client went into, and he gave it up. Whereas Carl Jung, when he separated from Freud, he did carry it into his practice. I think he started in Austria or Switzerland somewhere. And he did continue with the trance states. This complete, if you read his analytical psychotherapy, you find him quoting a lot of cases from trance state.
Right.
But whether he could use that trance state to probe deeply or not is not there in those case histories. It is about patients going into a trance state by themselves and he helping them heal. That is what I know. So West So when even Sunny brought this science of hypnotherapy, it was more of a clinical hypnotherapy which got developed in the West only, mainly in US. And this overtones of what we call the spiritual side, the Indian practices,
Right.
spiritual practices. I started experimenting with it when I had exposure to certain masters coming in, so I started probing. That was my way of
Right.
carrying it forward there.
The concept of past lives is more an Eastern concept.
Yeah.
The West is getting exposed to that concept only very recently, and I think books like Dr. Brian Weiss's book or Dr. Newton's book of Journey of Souls has probably brought these to the larger audience, and that's why probably there are a lot more people who want to be either exposed to past life or how is past life and hypnosis interlinked?
Past life as a concept was available in the West at even the point of time of writing the Bible. These references were expunged in 2 revisions of Bible by the Pope, I think Constantine. So when they revised it in the 2nd century and another revision took place in the 3rd century, they expunged all references to past life. I love Jesus. I mean, he's been kind enough to make his presence felt. A lot of guidance is there from him in sessions when he comes. But Christianity per se, when it evolved the concept of heaven and hell and only this life, I think a whole lot went behind it to expunge the concept of past life. That's my
Or the
understanding.
reincarnation.
Right.
Yeah.
Because whether you do a session with a Jew, I've done, with a Christian, I've done, with a Muslim, I've done, with a Buddhist, I've done, they've all gone into past life. So, how can it be a religious concept of accepting it or not accepting it?
Right.
Whereas it is a very natural phenomena of a person caught up in what we call the Maya, of moving into another life to clean whatever he has gathered which causes pain.
Right.
Unless he cleans it, how can he make himself pure to that same energy of what we call Atma, to go back home? Because you can go back home only when you are completely pure.
Right.
So even in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14, if you see, after all the guidance of Lord Krishna in terms of how and what is a sattvic person or a rajasic person or a tamasic person, he ultimately does say, he says, but you'll have to go beyond the sattva to come back to me.
Right.
What is that? How do we understand that statement? Means you've got to even be devoid of the energy causing the sattvic forces.
Right.
You get a little bit of glimpses. I'm still trying to strain myself hard to understand what is contained in the Sankhya philosophy of Kapil Muni. I'm not from Sanskrit. It's taking me a lot of time to interpret in view of what my experience is. I'm only trying to understand it experientially.
Right.
So, but it does, many places it does mention that aspect.
Right.
So when we understand the Kapil Muni's definition of Purush, Prakriti and the Gunas, then we do get a glimpse. I think with the experience that we have had in our sessions, a whole lot of it makes sense to, I think, put it down in a different form now for the new age people who want to understand things more differently from just Sanskritic translations or transliterations by people who have not so spiritually evolved to understand the real intricate meaning conveyed in those small PPT type shlokas,
Right.
isn't it?
Right.
So, but this exposure has definitely helped me to understand for myself, and whatever little I can share with people who ask, I'm doing it, but there's still a lot of work to do. That's my feeling.
When you take people into trance, how much times you've seen that it was a present life issues versus it was coming from past lives?
Past life is around 15 to 20%, not more than that.
Not more than that. So 80%
Most
of
of
the
these
issues are
in this life.
originating from this
In
life.
this life.
And if somebody is not believing in past lives and it comes in the sessions, what have you seen a different reaction from them? Like let's say somebody who's raised in a different religion which doesn't believe.
No. They accept it because they are experiencing it.
Right.
See, my belief is modeled or molded from my experience actually.
Right.
So if I'm experiencing it, I'm not reading it or hearing it to believe. Most of my, say, education, let's say education from KG to 12th,
Yeah.
I'm believing only what I'm reading
Yeah.
and what the teacher has communicated.
Right.
There are so many things they're not teaching, which has already been discovered. For example, let me just share with you, there's a head of the Department of Psychology of a university in Delhi. She was my student in 2006, 2007. After the second level, she tells me, I'm not sharing the name. She says, Dr. Choudhary, why are we not teaching what you are telling us? Because what takes us 6 months to help, even partially, a person who's disturbed, here you are doing it in 45 minutes. Why are we not teaching it? Then she shared, for 60 years we have not, and that was 10 years ago, so now it's 70 years.
Right.
And I'm again in touch with some lecturers.
Right.
We have still not revised the BA syllabus. The same thing continuing. We are perpetuating fire into our textbooks, reading it, teaching it. We're not prepared to bring in the new information, new knowledge, new experiments. It's not there. You look at Brian Weiss, he's written so well, and I think I give him a lot of thanks about bringing past life into mainstream
Mass
talk, right?
consciousness, yeah.
His first books. I thank him a lot. He kept it under cover for more than 20 years. He was afraid of being attacked by his own community of psychiatrists. Yet then he took courage and says, no, I must bring it out. He was a Christian, right?
Yeah.
Most of the serious researchers in past life from US have been Christians only.
Right.
And they're moving away.
Right.
So, and they're challenging. This is our experience, there is relief, there is information available. And why is it not coming into the mainstream?
Do you believe if the West, I mean, you're not just talking about Christianity, Judaism or Islam, which have a common root, versus some of the religions in the East, which has Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism. I think the primary difference between these two is one set of beliefs that
This life only.
and one believes
one
this is
is
just one
continuity.
life. This is a small slice of the movie,
Right.
and hence, if you see a lot of Eastern religions can always say if something is bad is happening to you, it probably is coming from the past. There's a justification for it. Versus there's sometimes no explanation in the Western philosophy. Is there a reason that these religions all three religions have deleted this concept of reincarnation?
I think it was more of in the Eastern system, we always had the concept of a past life. There's never been any time, I think.
Yeah, even child also knows about, all the scriptures
It's a given
Yeah.
thing. Even my uneducated grandmother would talk about.
Yeah.
So we talk about karma theory, we talk of past life, and karma theory is linked to past life.
Right.
But nobody says how many past lives you might have had.
Yeah.
If you are having this karma or retribution in this life, where is it coming from?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
I've seen people going back thousands of lives. I've seen people going to immediate past life or few past lives earlier. So that knowledge is missing about where is it coming from.
Right.
Then how do you give relief? If I go to a pandit, if I go to somebody else, how will he evaluate when he doesn't have the means to investigate? How does he bring karma relief in you? So the theory of karma relief itself, for me, my take on karma is very, very different. It's a debt entry of hurting somebody. And that came from understanding principles like can bring it here, the Lord of Tamas,
Right.
right? So when you interact with energies, pure energies in the universe, and medium is hypnotic state, they give you a lot of information, they give you a lot of guidance. So we do not know. So for me, a karma is something which I have to clean in this life by paying back. Because there's a debt entry in my book of accounts, and I have to write a credit entry with the same individual. Right? So when we look at that aspect of karma, but it is talked of so loosely without understanding what karma is. A lot of people are making money on it. A lot of people are banding around that one word
Right.
without actually understanding it.
Right.
How can you understand it without interacting with that force itself? For me, it's like a software which causes a disturbance in the performance of a computer, right? This body is nothing but an equipment, it's a biological equipment. My behavior is composed of 4 or 5 parameters. The way I use words, the way I tone the words, my eyes, my facials, and my body language. I'm keeping the face and the look separately as a very major part of communication.
Right.
And these are my output parameters. If I look at it on the other side and say, when I was sharing it with some people the other day, if, as they say, only Atma leaves the dead body, and Atma is part of Paramatma, and you have that Atma and I have that Atma, and people here have Atma, right? And Atma is part of Paramatma, then all of us should behave similarly.
Right.
If that is the operating software,
Right.
all computers having Windows 10 will operate similarly.
Right.
There is no doubt about it, right? So what is it that makes my behavior different? The question is, what causes a difference in behavior? I'm not going to other questions like, where do I choose to take birth? Why do I choose to take birth in a particular family, in a particular community, in a particular social strata, etc., etc. So what causes the difference in behavior if Atma is saying, because if Atma is a part of Paramatma, and we say Paramatma is always a loving being,
Right.
always a caring being, always a supporting being, then why do you and I behave differently? At any age.
Right.
Then right from the time the child gets any senses of to old age, they should behave similarly and everybody should behave similarly.
Right.
Why don't they? So there is something happening.
Right.
What is it that is happening is the real issue. As to which and what are that, what is that causing, I use the word technically, software distortion for an output.
Yeah.
And it's a virus.
Yeah.
So my question for a long time, till such I really got the answer, was there is a software distortion, right? And there is an energy, and there is a. So when you read Gita and you find tamas is there, and there is a property in tamas. So what is the property being caused in that individual, for whom Lord Krishna has defined it so well, with a sattvic person? Where is that software? What is the purity of that software? Why is there some difference, and why is Lord Krishna defining it so differently? As 3 natures or 3 people.
Right.
If only prana is there, and
Right.
which is prana is Atma.
Right.
So what is causing that difference?
Yeah.
So under hypnosis, when we had interacted, we found a whole lot of layers of energies. Layers and layers of energies. And many layers of energies were pure darkness. People saw them as darkness. And we could interact with that darkness as an energy. And that is where we came to know that tamas is an energy per se created. And it told, the darkness energy itself told, I have also been created by the Lord to sustain Maya.
Right.
That was a very shocking information for me. It was in 2010 also, just before you had come. You came in November, this happened around September.
Yeah.
So After that, I met so many energies from dark light.
Your understanding, as you have now practiced it for so long and met hundreds of patients who've come to you or your clients, yeah, and you've read through the Indian scriptures of
Little
Vedic,
not
the Sattvic, the Rajasic, the Tamasic, which I call it the grey, the white, the black. Is there a certain kind of people that get drawn to your energy for virus cleaning, as you say?
It's all karmic bondage. We're all connected.
Yeah.
So what happens is, most of the time, I have been given information of people who are coming even as students or who are coming as clients. I have been told by whosoever is the person that they are sending them to me.
Right.
They're not coming on their own.
Yeah. But is there a certain pattern you've seen in them? Or they could be Tamasic, they could be Rajasic, they could be Sattvic, anything. And what does your work do for them that they feel more cleaner, pure?
I feel hypnotherapy is a science of transforming a person. And he is looking for what we call a productivity related output. So what can take me 3 lives of meditation to clear me? Many times you can do a whole lot of, it's a fast forward work.
Right.
So after that he can go into his own meditation and take off at a higher vibrational level.
Right. So you're basically helping them increase the vibration.
Mainly. Because it's like, in electronics we say there's a carrier wave.
Right.
And when I superimpose audio or video, the frequency of the carrier wave always falls.
Yeah.
It becomes slower.
Yeah.
So if you look at my Atma in me, that's Lord's energy, which is the fundamental frequency of the universe. Because Supreme Being, there is nothing deeper than the Supreme Being. And in one of the sessions, 2006-07, when the Supreme Being took the opportunity, I would call it, of educating us. Let me put it that way. So, I call that Supreme Being ES, energy source. It is the source of all energy in the universe. And the only name ES accepted was ES only, because it called itself energy source. It was not prepared to listen to he, she or it. So it says, just call me energy source. From that day onwards, I address that energy as ES. ES can be named as Supreme Being, ES can be named as God, can be named as whatever you want to. But it is pure energy. Pure energy at the finest quantum level. If we see quantum physics or the quantum mechanics as we call it, and look at the concepts of the particulate matter in the energy, it's the finest and the highest vibration. So if my Atma is that energy and it cannot be polluted, one thing that I understood very clearly was the energy of Atma in a human being cannot be polluted. It is not like putting something in a glass of water and the water is ES energy and I can put ink into it as darkness. No, it doesn't. I can only cover it. It's like covering a tube light with paint.
Right.
So it doesn't shine, yet there is no light.
Right.
It remains, person or the room remains in darkness. So the similar thing happens to an individual depending on the thickness of the layer and the amount of covering you can do of the tube light.
Right.
If you can put holes into it, it will gleam slightly, allow you to work the way you want to. But the whole process, I was told once by even Mahatma Babaji, he said the whole journey of life is to clean yourself.
Right.
That is clean the darkness.
Right.
Or the carriers of darkness. It's either a pure energy or there are carriers of the darkness in you. Both elements are there. So the whole journey on earth for a soul takes birth is to clean, whether it's a karmic issue, whether it is what we call spirit issue, whether it is pure dark light energy issue, it's only to clean. So that the soul energy starts shining in you. In all our, you look at a small shlok like Tamsoma Jyotirgamay, Astoma Sadgamay,
Yeah.
Tamsoma Jyotirgamay, and Mrityuma Amritam Gamay.
Yeah.
I think it's a very, very beautiful summary. Astoma is asatya, whereas Sattva has Satya, even from the Yam Niyam
Right.
differentiation, we say Satya is the first principle. Some people call Ahimsa, but Satya, I take Satya as the first principle. So Astoma Sadgamay, move from Asatya to Satya.
Yeah.
Dishonesty, untruthfulness, stealing, cheating, whatever you associate with Asatya.
Right.
From there, move to Satya, purity.
Right.
Purity of thought, purity of action, purity of words used, everything. With a very, very beautiful, be integrated, be with integrity. It's purity state.
Right.
Second line in that shlok says, Tamso ma jyotirgamay. So it's saying directly, tamas is there, sattva is there, from these gunas that Prakriti has created, as we see in Sankhya. We are saying, move from darkness to light, jyoti.
Right.
Tamso ma jyotirgamay.
Right.
Third line is very pretty. It says, Mrityuma Amritam Gamay. Mrityu is caused by a chain of birth and death.
Yeah.
So Mrityu is representing me getting stuck in a chain of birth and death.
Yeah.
So from there it says, move to Amrityu. Thereafter there is no death, you are liberated.
Yeah.
You got moksha. You move into the causal universe.
Right.
So in 3 lines it is giving, I think, the complete saransh of the 14th chapter
Of the journey of
journey of life itself,
Yeah.
or a journey of a soul,
Yeah.
which got separated from the Lord. It's Bible has got the story of the prodigal son, which is very symbolic,
Right.
right? You go out and then come back home.
Yeah.
When you come back home, is this one shlok says, come back home. Come back to your real place. And that's it. So cleaning is the only thing that the soul wants. There are other concepts that were discovered.
Have you, your definition about darkness has changed over the years? Or how do you?
In darkness, there is an energy, complete energy created at the point of creation along with Prakriti.
And how does it show in a human being?
By
What are
their,
the
by their tamasic behavior of Kam, Krodh, Madlobh, Moh, Irsha, Grina, Dvesh, Matsar and Bhaya, the
These are-
10 principles.
So if you can just tell me in English, like,
Kam is desire. Desire is all related to my what we can say is my senses.
yeah,
Satisfaction of my senses. And each one has got still a broad band of intensity related, high-low.
right,
Right. So if I have got a say desire for food, which is my taste related,
right,
right? I still have a broadband from a poor person who doesn't get food, who gets addicted to eating rotten meat. You see the extreme.
right,
To a person who's a king and who can have the choicest of the foods.
right,
So even in taste, there's such a big broadband.
right,
And each one of them is a separate frequency of energy.
Right.
That's my learning.
right,
So it comes into you, seeps into you, it's available. It's like all 2G, 3G, 4G transmissions taking place around the world, available everywhere in this room. You can receive any frequency. If your SIM card is there,
right,
somebody is calling you, you can
Right.
receive it. Similarly, these energies are present everywhere
right,
in their complete spectrum. So they tune into you at the frequency you generate in the physical body.
You mean these 10 frequencies you're talking about? That,
No,
No.
even
Within the
the
desire.
band within each.
okay,
So even in desire, I have from taste, smell, touch,
sight,
sight, and hearing,
yeah,
sound.
5 senses.
5 only.
Yeah.
I've got 5 senses.
Yeah,
All my desires relate to it.
okay,
I can have other desires relating to say, accumulation of men, but then it is combining with greed also.
Right.
It can combine with ahankar in terms of sense of power.
Right.
So many of these energies integrate and work together
Right.
in an individual.
Right.
I have met multiple energies in one individual forming and then giving him a behavior
A
pattern.
certain characteristics.
Correct. Character itself.
Yeah.
So that character is visible by his behavior,
Right.
the way he behaves, the way he creates his wants,
Right.
right? So behavior and wants many a time go together. I want this, I'm not getting it, I'll go stay. That's behavior,
Right.
right? So behavior can be driven by a want, but it cannot be driven without these energies in you.
So tell me these 10. So starting with desire,
Calm is desire,
Calm is
growth
desire.
is anger,
anger.
man is ahankar, that is pride,
Okay.
sense of arrogance with it,
Right.
right? Lobh, greed,
Right.
moh,
Right.
attachment,
Right.
right?
These are the
Tirsha.
primary prey.
These are
These are
five
five.
primary mentioned in many texts of India.
Right.
You find this, inko bas mein rakho.
Right.
Keep control over this,
Right.
and you will be on the right path,
Right.
right? But what I have found recently in very many situations, we got hate as a very predominant thing, jealousy,
Right.
envy, and matsar and bhaya. Bhaya is fear,
Fear.
right?
Yeah.
Matsar is envy, Isha is jealousy, dvesh, sense of revenge. It's so predominant today, it's amazing.
Right.
And beyond that, even I have found energies like laziness,
Right.
procrastination, loneliness,
Sadness, depression.
sadness, depression.
That's a
Depression is a very big word actually.
Right.
It has got subsets.
Right.
If you divide depression,
Right.
its symptoms are many,
Right.
and they are all they relate to me for becoming non-functional in my daily life basically. But I would rather go by symptoms,
Right.
not by the descriptions of
And
books.
these are all collectively is what we call the tamas, the black,
That
the
is-
dark energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I'm very thankful to Paramahansa Yogananda in his introduction, defining them as characteristics of the Kauravas, 100.
Right.
And I've got more than 100 now as a list.
Of the traits of darkness.
Tamasic traits.
Okay. And the whole journey you're saying is basically overcome these
Overcome
10
this.
primary
Clean them,
traits,
clean
clean them. These are the viruses.
them. Right, so
And
then
go-
you shine.
Yeah.
It's
You
like
go into
cleaning the tube light, darkness around the tube light.
Yeah.
Then it glows fully.
Yeah.
That when you glow.
So going from darkness to light.
Right, and
Yeah.
then your behavior changes accordingly. So when you find these going away, your behavior keeps changing.
Right.
And you find the change in behavior. You look at the people that you have treated, for example, after
Right.
learning hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
Haven't you seen the behavioral changes?
Yeah, there's more. I see they're much more calmer. They're much more focused.
Focused.
They're much more loving.
Right, more loving. So you see that the light in them,
Yeah.
which is what we call the Lord's light,
Yeah.
is able to shine more.
Yeah.
It's able to encompass and I would say see things better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You,
like
you
the
can
fog is
see
going away from the
fog is
glasses.
away
and
going there.
You can
And
see.
they are sensing that thing within themselves also.
Yeah.
That is
So
the
is there a, like the way you said, there are 10 primary traits of darkness? Are there some primary traits of light? That we can say, okay, these traits would go and these would increase? That
main
makes
thing is loving.
love. Is it?
Loving, helping, caring, protecting, supporting.
Yeah.
You see that person becoming
more
there in
truthful,
all
more
situations.
fearless. Yeah.
Fearlessness is there.
Yeah.
Whole lot of these attributes are there. I've got a list, but I don't remember. But
Have you seen any specific cases now over there? How many you would have seen cases now for all these years? How many?
around
Thousands?
Thousands.
Thousands?
Multiple sessions of say 1,000 people. But I think record nearly 1,000 now. 800 something, 800 or 900 something.
Was there
Multiple
any
sessions.
specific case without naming where you felt that specific individual taught you a lot? I'm sure every individual teaches you.
Oh yes,
but there was
everybody
some-
teaches, but some have taught me much more than
Could you share some of them with us? Like,
were they. One, a lot, but one, few are exposed also many facets of life.
And how did it transform you? Some of these
It
cases.
transformed me because they were able to conduit these energies and their communication for my education, including either masters or even dark light. Dark light is very educative.
Right.
It has taught me so many things. So many things.
Do you think this planet belongs most to light or more to darkness?
At the
Or like-
moment it is full of darkness.
It's full of darkness.
My communication to me by darkness was, what will you do, Dr. Choudhary? I have got 98% of earth under my control.
98%. So what did we do, Dr. Choudhary?
I said, I'm doing my bit given to me by the Lord.
Yeah.
You are there to help me.
Yeah.
Also remove yourself.
Yeah.
He didn't say
Does it
anything.
become sometimes overwhelming for you in your work?
Yeah, at times it does.
But what gives you hope? That you can continue this? This
So
98%.
everybody's journey is different.
Yeah.
My journey is different. How you come here, why you come, who sends you, it's all a mystery. It's all a mystery.
Religion has created this dissonance between male and female that we were talking about. Most of the preachers of the religion are men, and there are very few women in all the main religions that we look at. Whether we look at the Eastern philosophy of Hindus or the Buddhists or the Jains, they're always celebrating the male, and the male is trying to reach up the ladder, and the female is not there. And the same is true with the Western religion as well. When did this start? And is that one of the problems of religion today, that the female is not being celebrated anymore?
From whatever little I understand, I'll share from my understanding. I have seen people taking role in one life as male, another life as female, reversing or continuing in one male role or female role. So it is the choice of the soul to take the role of that sex. It's the soul which chooses. Even when the council before birth shows you multiple lives that you can choose from, because no soul or that entity which is wanting to take birth to further clean itself is ever forced by the council. And there's a council, there's an admin unit. Let me call it a admin unit, which gives you the choice. How they get that information as to which womb is ready to receive you, I don't know. I have never inquired that. But they seemingly do know as to which wombs are ready, which will be fit for you to occupy, to fulfill your purpose of birth.
Your desires or whatever your purpose.
Whatever is your purpose of birth. And it could be a female, it could be a male. There is no hard and fast rule there. So one is understanding why does a person choose to be a female, or why does a person choose to be a male, with respect to the way they are coming. I have seen multiple lives of people who may even choose to be a prostitute, for example, who after a life of a king would want to be a dacoit, right? Or who would want to be a farmer, right? What is it that he chooses? One can inquire when you go into the LBL area, we can inquire and find out. But if we, in one nutshell, try and understand that each one of us comes to learn something or to pay off something, and so I choose a family, a time of birth, etc., to fulfill the purpose of life, then there can be some souls who are ready to move forward. They come from very higher, or let's say, put it this way, they have very little darkness to clean, right? And they're at a very high vibrational level, and they have to do a little amount of work to cross over into the causal universe from the astral.
Right.
Such soul, from my understanding, I am only giving my understanding, they may like not to be involved in day-to-day management of even a household or activities in life. And a male to that extent can free himself because he doesn't get attached, or he can free himself from attachment which happens in a family surrounding. Even if he chooses to remain a bachelor, he can detach himself much better than a female. Because the moment you take a female body, it's my understanding, and now your upper three chakras are more operative than the lower three chakras, right? Somehow the man who's already ascended above the lower three chakras because he's at a higher frequency,
Right.
and now he wants to access the upper chakras to increase his vibration, he can go into that state of cavalry very fast. Whereas a woman, she is already working with the higher three chakras, and suppose she gets entangled into the attachments, she cannot rise. She can be a sage's wife, take care of him, give him all the opportunity, protect him, provide for him, knowing that now he is at that stage where he will rise. So such souls actually make contract before birth. That you will help me, you will support me, you will take care of my needs and give me all the time for my spiritual progress, so that I cross over. It's also in contract. I have seen such contracts. So to say male, female, I am not too sure in terms of this humanly or the socially acceptable terms of a male, female. Yes, socially we have defined certain roles for males, certain roles for females. The gene structure of X chromosome with a Y or two X chromosomes, a female. The extra attributes of the extra leg of the X, second X, gives her all that strength to play that role. And a man, if he wants to ascend, can do with much lesser genetic even formation to proceed. That's my understanding. I wouldn't know whether it's true, not true. It has got to be worked on, it has got to be proven by a lot of people still.
Right. Now my question also is, if you see in the Eastern philosophy, discarding Buddhism or Jainism, where most of the time the teachers are men, I've read, if it's true, that a lot of yogis and the rishis
All males.
were male, but they were married,
They were married.
grahasthas, they were teaching,
Yeah.
they were running these gurukuls.
Right?
Versus, if you look at other religions, whether Buddhism or Jainism, or if you see Christianity, where mostly the teacher would be only be male, and there is no male female living together. When did this become so predominant that there's the possibility of a male and female together?
That is power politics.
Of the religion.
Within religion.
Within religion. How does it they get power by removing women? I don't
No,
understand.
they're manipulating women.
I don't understand. What do you mean by manipulate? When the women are not even there in the religion, how are they manipulating?
The way I understand it, and I have had some past life cases where nunneries were full of manipulation of women by their male counterparts. Women were used Aren't you seeing the aspect of that Brazilian
Yeah, the priest.
priest?
Yeah.
We have got another case in Goa going on.
Yeah, there are many Indian
Right.
gurus doing it, there are many Western gurus doing it.
They're all.
Yeah.
So they are the people, but as an organized thing, when we manipulate, is different from the true path being followed. I'm not saying genuine people might not be there,
Right.
but the major thing is, and those people are not also allowing the females to rise also.
Right.
Here we see very few female sages.
None.
Where-
I haven't come across none.
So, for example, even if you read Toby Alexander, where the interview, not interview, where the Babaji's sister is visiting Toby Alexander, the dialogue in that book, you see that purity of mother, purity of love, energy of a female,
Right.
where she is very categorically saying, we are meant to serve.
Right.
If she's communicating that, and I say serve because she has that energy to serve. Male energy is very, I would say, to that extent, not equipped to serve that way selflessly.
Yeah.
So that's a very big difference in terms of the genetic structure itself and its inbuilt programs and the strengths, inherent strengths in that. So if a Rishi's wife is there who's managing the farms, the food, the kitchen, taking care of the students and allowing that man undisturbed time to meditate, it is a big sacrifice.
But most of the, I mean, let's not talk about the Western religion, but if you look at Eastern religion, like even Hinduism, there are so many books I've read where it's been written by a male, and when I read them, there's anger against the female energy, very clear. And most of them are saying that the only way to reach to light is you have to walk this journey alone without the female. But they all pray to a male and female god together. So if you look at the Hindus, they will pray to Shiva and Shakti together, they will pray to Ram and Sita together, they will pray to Krishna and Radha. But most of these monks are, in their books, so angry against the female.
But that is their nature. If they're writing a book, does not mean they have attained.
But most of the books are written by such men.
My point is, but are those people who have attained? We don't know. So many people are writing so many things today. Have they internally risen to that level of vibration is the main thing? No. I don't think. I see so many books myself and I read many books myself. I don't see that author being at that level.
Yeah.
I don't see even in Radha Krishna. And he's a very renowned philosopher of ours. I don't see that in his teaching. For me, there's definitely a different. I don't see that.
Have you seen any
Dr.
trend
Yogesh,
towards you that
The female energy is quite a lot as
Pardon?
compared to men. Female energy is quite a lot as compared to men.
No, what do you mean quite a lot?
They're much more energy than a male.
What type of energy?
See, looking after the household, everything. Even in animal, the female does the hunting and male takes over. First he will eat, then the cubs and the riders will. I think that's in nature. The women sacrifice for the whole family, whether men or animal.
So what I was telling and sharing is, before birth I choose the sex to achieve my purpose. And if my purpose is for spiritual evolution and to clean myself further, I will choose to be a male rather than a female. Because I have got less pulls and attachments than what a female encounters in her life. We have to understand it from a soul perspective, not social perspective. You are giving a social perspective of the is. Yeah, she is. She chooses that.
Even animals,
They have also chosen. We think they can't choose, they choose. That's a free will. Every speck of the Lord's energy has been given free will first, consciousness later on. We have to understand many.
But in Punjab, Haryana, as you are aware, female feticide is taking
Pardon?
place. Female feticide. Now the soul has chosen to be female, but men do not allow it to be born.
It's the soul which chose to be killed. You are looking from a social perspective or a legal perspective. I am looking at the soul perspective. It says, okay, I get this experience and I am going back.
So soul wanted to be released or taking birth.
He wanted to be killed very fast to pay off some debt with some people. We don't know. See, what happens is most of the time my perspective is what I know. And I have no means to inquire unless I search. If I search, then I will get that information. Otherwise, I look at it from a perspective of what is known in the society. One is a social perspective and I am looking at feticide, right? Today I am looking at everything from a soul perspective. I have stopped looking from a social perspective. There is no social perspective. It's only greed at the moment. Power and greed. अहंकार बहुत ज़्यादा है सब सोसाइटी में सर, बहुत ज़्यादा है. Everything I want to control. Politicians want to control. They want votes, so they will give all sorts of things to create an impression to get votes. I am not supporting feticide, but looking at soul perspective, I know that soul had something to do with that family or some people. It's paying off and going. You look at premature deaths. What is a premature death? पैदा होने के पहले मर जाता है वो.
They made a wrong choice.
Pardon?
They came to womb, then they realized their wrong choice. They want to go back.
So they go back. It's his choice. Up to 1 year he can go back. After 1 year he cannot choose it so fast. It's amazing. Actually, when you do this work, age regression and past life regression, it opens a Pandora's box. And over a period of time, when you join the points and make a big picture, at times it is too big to support even emotionally as a human being. It is too big. That canvas is so big, so big. हमारी तो ये चेष्टा इतनी छोटी है 23 साल की, इससे पूछो इसने पिछले 3 साल में क्या क्या नहीं देखा है. क्यों चेष्टा? फिर? And she doesn't practice hypnotherapy. It just comes to her naturally. She's seen so much of it.
Could you clarify something for me? Could you clarify something for me?
बोलो.
Why is
If
there
I know, I'll definitely.
why is there such a strong imbalance between the male energy and the female energy on the earth frequency? Because beyond that the imbalance does not exist. I can come with that awareness. But insofar as the earth frequency, what do you think?
A whole lot of
causes-
wrong social practices have happened on earth.
So is it the frequency such that the soul kind of falls down in terms of vibration, or is it that the soul comes to this planet with a certain vibration?
We do not know his, what we can call his what is he coming with is the main thing, unless we take a specific case.
Fair.
Every case is different. In this area, I normally don't like to generalize because
It's
I have not, everything is specific,
fair.
everything is unique. All generalize, I hate statistics to that extent as applied to spiritual sciences.
Fair.
There is no statistics. And we should never practice with statistics in mind. We will not be able to help our client. Treat him as a unique person, just a unique soul, whatever be his journey. It could be a first time born. I've handled souls, first time birth on earth. I've had people who have had more than 1,000 lives. I've had people more than 3,000 lives. Everybody is different. I've seen souls being created, equipped, put into a production line. Whether that Lord's energy goes into a seed of a grass or becomes an amoeba, it's all planned. I've talked to the supervisors of those lines. It's amazing. Who controls them? I don't know. They never respond. So the whole picture is so huge. At times it is mind-boggling.
I have a similar question in line of that. What my observation between traveling between East and West, because I spend time in New York also now, and India, I'm seeing the captains of the religion are men. The captains of the religion are mostly men. But the spiritual groups are mostly
Female now.
are women now.
There's a shift in the energy taking
What is that shift going on? Because I'm seeing most of the time when I'm in the West, unlike in the East, still I think the women are yet to be empowered. But the Western women is more empowered, and most of them may choose to be with the man, or they may choose not to be with the man. But most of these groups, 80% of the time, or 90% of the time, are either women-led. So what is that phenomena happening right now?
See, if we actually see, even say, let me use the word Christian world. Christian world is governed by males only.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that in India the women have not been suppressed. I think it's much more there because of the church also.
Yeah.
In India, the Hindu religion does not suppress women. She says, you're equal partners, sit on the havan with me.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Even when you get married, it's the male who takes 7 vows, the female takes 5 vows. Are you aware?
No.
Okay.
Oath.
Vows both sides, it's not both, it's a vow actually. So the importance given to, even right from Vedic culture to a woman is very high. When you read old texts, I have not read many, but whatever little I have read, importance to a woman is very high. It is the Western influence which brought the disparity in India.
You mean it's just
Colonization.
It's only a 300-year phenomenon?
Yeah.
Also, it's always
Papa, you will have to ask questions in the end, because then I can't edit. If you will, it will be a flow between you and him.
We will.
Yeah, so I will not be able to edit this part. Come to questions
We
and
will
I'll
again
give
come
you
back,
opportunity
right?
in the end. Yeah.
Fair.
So let him finish. You know, if you keep blocking his
That is
thought
my
process.
understanding.
Yeah.
I am only sharing my understanding from whatever limited zone I have been in. So you see the wanting to be free from the clutches of the male dominance is arising much more in the West than in India. Basically because of the traditional values. We find more problem in the educated people here, and those educated, as Dr. B.M. Hegde says, like me, is a resident non-Indian. I am completely a Western product in India. I have not been abroad for education,
You're
but
also
I am
using
totally a Western
language which is
product.
non-Indian.
So I am a resident non-Indian,
Yeah,
right?
you're a resident non-Indians. Yeah.
And he has used that word so aptly, and when you listen to him, you get the impact of that usage of that term so powerfully. It's only last 8 years I am trying to Indianize myself by learning the Indian traditions and the literature.
Yeah.
And I find this, why have been an idiot all these years?
So how did the Western women, because if you see, what you're saying is the Western women has become
A lot of
empowered
masters.
on,
They're setting special souls.
to the West, who are coming as women now.
If
And
they're
they are
born
the-
here, they're being sent there. So a lot of work going on in the spiritual world in terms of women empowerment. It's for too many years we have suppressed the woman. So there's a complete balance of energy shift taking place.
So a lot of powerful souls are now coming to the West as women, and they are the ones who creating
Yeah,
these spiritual groups.
It's a lot of them. Actually, I'm in touch with a very special soul who's denying this role to herself, though she has seen her choosing that role as a leader of such groups. But in the human form, she's wanting to just remain away from it.
Why? It's too much work.
She's afraid.
It's too much work.
She's afraid at the moment.
I've
That
come,
it will pull her away from her family.
Okay.
That is the main thing.
I've come across cases in the West as well where I felt many of these women have huge energy they can transform, but they're choosing not to step out because many of them are coming from the.
So my only understanding is dark light is working in them to create fear.
So they don't step.
We have to understand actually the whole thing is becomes more clear when we understand the phenomena of dark light or spirits roaming which have got predominant dark light already in them.
Right.
So two things are very, very important to understand. In past life, dark light coming from past life is there, but it's not that much of a phenomena as encountered by me. But I have seen a lot of spirit work having this thing, dark light energies, tamasic energies, and also pure dark light in people. Very, very high. So unless more of us can actually understand this phenomena of that vibrational zones of pure energies created by the Lord, to challenge your free will to choose Him or be enmeshed in a chain of birth and death to sustain Maya, Lord's creation. How can we be judges of Lord's creation? We're too small.
So, this will be my last question. Tell us and the audience, what do you think can be done for this planet to increase light? Is it just one of the aspects is to empower women, go away from religion? What are the 4 or 5 key things can be done for common people that their movement towards light can become stronger?
See, I'm a great believer of Yam Niyam, basically, because if the education of Yam Niyam, which was given in Gurukul teaching in India, was very strong, right from asana to pranayama, was a part of a regimen in every Gurukul. If people can understand that and operate with that thought itself, the dilution of dark light or work of dark light goes down. Dark light is ready to move. I've had a session where I told you it was weeping to go back to the Lord. So I'm also tired. So if we can increase the induction of fundamental behavioral or thinking processes right from the basics in schools.
In schools,
Obviously, that is the biggest platform.
the olden way, which used to be in the Gurukul system,
In my current
This-
education system,
the spiritual education was given.
that spiritual education,
Yeah.
if we can introduce that, but it has to be demonstrated by the elders for the child to imbibe. And that's a very big problem at the moment.
That's a huge problem.
It's a very huge problem because in 200 years of in India, nearly 200 years, we have totally distorted the thinking about education. And any time you talk of introducing any spiritual teaching in a school, it's we as parents who are objecting to it. How will it be useful for him to take a job?
Right.
As if everything is on the job only.
Right.
We are not economic models of creation. As far as health goes, even a chap who eats minimum is healthy. Where is the problem? But creation of economy as a subject, So whosoever created, who was that chap who created economics as a subject? Somebody.
Keynes.
Eh?
Keynes.
Who? Economics.
Keynes.
Okay. Whosoever was it, when they define it, it's about creating wants. We are already sold out into the hands of the dark line.
Talking about Karl Marx?
No,
Yeah,
not
the-
Karl
the-
Marx.
the- who created economics.
Angel and the chat was. I forget the name. So when we read the basic economic theory, and then because that is the one which brought in the industrial revolution in Europe,
Right.
with new scientific gadgets coming in, steam engine coming in, electricity being discovered, etc., etc., and we went on to a production model, assembly model, etc., etc., saying jobs will be created, they will get money. So we developed a money model of circulation, everybody, and where are they using money? If I can do with 100, why do I require 1,000? If I can do with 1,000, why do I require 10,000? So from aste and aparigraha, we have gone into the hands of desire.
Right.
If we have gone into the hands of desire, who's got affected? Everybody has got affected. So it has to start. There's a group of 6 in schools in Punjab. I was reading in Speaking Tree long time back. They are creating schools like that from the. There's a-
Which will have a spiritual education.
which has fundamentally it has spiritual education along with modern aspects of knowledge, modern science.
So the core is the
core is
spiritual,
spiritual,
and then is the modern.
and then you surround him. Because if I can remain with yum yum in my life, I require so little to be happy.
Yeah.
Are we saying that we should be happy first, or I should have 5 houses,
Yeah.
and I must get money for rent?
Yeah.
What is the model? Is it for happiness or is it for acquisition? Am I promoting the opposite of
So
austere?
you're basically saying going back to the old way, which was in the Vedic time,
Yes.
where there was a teacher, there was a set of teachers who were spiritually very aware,
And
and they were training the students, and they were sending out into the society.
they were role models.
They were role modeling
They were
themselves.
living so simply.
Yeah.
So simply. They never demanded anything from anybody.
Yeah.
The king may be giving some gratis, or they may be giving the land to grow something for your own self-sustenance.
Yeah.
Where are those models? You look at my schools, my hospitals, my colleges, it's terrible. I had a student of a medical college, deep depression. 4th year he's doing was internship in January this year. Deep depression. I said, well, what's happening to you? He says, I'm being sent for internship and I have not touched a single patient in 4 years of my medical college. I'm afraid if I prescribe, my patient might die. Is that a medical college? And then you are putting that law, NWC law, NMC law, National Medical something, Commission. And I get a lot of, I'm a member of that group, Quality Education in Medicine. I keep getting all the weight. One of the doctors is writing that law is being promoted by 80 MPs who are owning all medical colleges and pharma companies. So they want to change MCI completely. They want freedom to recruit as many students for their colleges because it's giving so much of capitation money. And it is the end thing to become a doctor and then charge tons. Where is the education? Where is honesty, you tell me? यम में पहला principle सत्य का कहाँ है?
Right.
If that is not there, the so Darklight is laughing, हंसता है. When he's talking to me, he's laughing. चौधरी साहब क्या करोगे आप?
Yeah.
क्या करोगे?
So I think it's empowering the teachers, the
First,
branches, you know, and
Yeah,
making
yeah.
them create these schools.
First, we must have teachers who are exemplary, which the children will follow. Today, we don't have teachers who are role models. They don't teach in a school, they say come for tuition. Whether you take municipal schools, So government is caught in a very big trap of political non-governance. What will we do? You take municipal schools, you take private schools, you've got stories and stories and stories, you take hospitals. It's amazing.
But we as an individual, how can we change? We have already been educated
So,
now.
as far as I'm
I
concerned,
can't go back to school.
Right.
So what can I do today to
So-
go into?
people who come to me, at least who come to me, 10 people come, 20 people come, 30 people come. I only ask them, can you in your life follow honesty? You see one of the changes, you saw Vivek,
Yeah.
right? You know he doesn't do anything in underhand dealing.
Yeah.
Everything is taxpayer.
Yeah.
And it's a good movement. Why not have such people? I said, I can control my behavior. I'm not saying control your neighbor's behavior. Are you honest in your work? Are you working 8 hours? Has any pen gone from the office to your house? Do your subordinates see you working diligently for their benefit, for the organizational benefit? तुम तो सत्य से काम करो, चाहे एयरफोर्स में हो, चाहे नेवी में हो, चाहे गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट में हो, चाहे प्राइवेट कंपनी में हो. Are you following yam niyam?
So you're basically saying start with
Start with
spiritual
yourself.
education of your
Yourself.
own self, and that education will transform your
Then
thinking.
let
and
your
your-
behavior be picked up by people around you.
Yeah.
Even if in your 8-year, 10 years career, 3 more people behave like you, it's a great thing. It's a great thing, believe me. No, I think it's a great thing. Even if 3 people pick it up. I've seen my company closing because of greed. Just greed. Such a fine company. He's been with me in that stage. He's seen it closing. So there's a lot will happen. I don't know how. But if things don't change in few years, masters are threatening also. It was in your session or some other session. No, उसके session में था ना.
What
जय
was,
बख्शी.
what was
जय
the
विक्रम.
threat? What's the threat the humanity is facing? From your-
Threat was given by Lord Krishna himself. He was there in that session. So I was working with the premise of our earlier information about the destruction of Earth. So I said, why would you do it? I'm talking is very frank. He is very afraid. Nobody dies. Don't you know that nobody dies?
Nobody dies.
I said, but. He said, well, stop this, but. Nobody dies. I said, so many people got killed in that tsunami. So he's saying tsunamis will happen, volcanoes will erupt. Now.
Yeah.
Didn't you see that tsunami at Indonesia 2004? Around 1.20 lakh people died. He said that was just a trailer. It was just to warn you. Raste pe aa jao. And then same thing happened in 2010, I think, or 11,
Yeah.
in Japan,
Yeah,
where
Japan.
that,
Yeah.
that atomic plant got affected. He said that was just a sidey thing.
Tidy
This
things.
is also
Yeah.
trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
So he says people have to change. If they don't change, but you don't worry. Souls don't die. You just change clothes. He is also saying simultaneously, you just change clothes. Don't you change clothes? Body is a cloth. The soul just changes.
So that's the final warning for
You got it
If
yourself.
you don't change,
You know,
yeah, you don't
You
change
know
the
very
direction, then you are, that's why I had to change the
that's
direction.
a humanity. It's a problem of whole humanity at the moment.
Yeah.
But they are working behind the scenes. I did see some changes in between America and China, which they told me once,
Yeah.
masters. They are working with America and China to bring harmony. So that a very big threat of nuclear warfare is. So he was supposed to meet Kim, I did not know what happened.
Yeah.
So we don't know who's working where. That is my. But we see, I can see some signs happening.
Yeah.
They come and they talk. You talk to them, they give the information. You are, I think, you are already getting a lot of information yourself. But yes, many people who can understand this technique, going deeper, being able to interact without getting flabbergasted as to who's coming how, behave similarly with any master. They're so humble, they're so humble. I remember a time I was talking so respectfully to Jesus, very respectfully. He says, Yogesh, why are you talking so respectfully to me? You and I are same. Imagine their humility.
In the next interview, I'd like to talk more about what messages that you get directly from the masters. But I think we are reaching to a point where.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your sharing your knowledge. And we'll continue this.